This is a video that I have been meaning to make for a very long time to answer a question that I get a lot. And I think it's because we all want to know what other people are doing to take care of their skin and to age gracefully. I am happy to answer this question, but it is sort of a lot of things. So whenever I get this question, I'm always like, I need to make a video because it's not just one thing. It is a lot of things. Now, disclaimer, you can age however you want to age. You're beautiful as you are, as you were made, and you don't need to do any of this. This is just what I do to make me feel more comfortable in my own skin, and it's what I ended up doing after I saw right around 40, and here's some pictures. I really saw, after I had my last child at 38, a huge rapid onset of aging on my face. I saw a lot of sagging, texture issues. I kind of always had the texture issues, but just generally I felt like I had a lot of things that made me look tired. They made me look older than I felt, and just I wasn't real happy with it, and I kind of set out to see what I could do about it that wasn't surgery, because I really felt like that was much farther than I want to go. I don't do real well with surgery. I hate it. So I wanted to see what could be done that was short of that, and I turned to YouTube. And I found that YouTube is very, very useful as a tool to see what other people are doing. So now it's my turn to show you what I've been doing over the last 10 years that have made a huge difference in taking my skin from this to this. It really can be done short of surgery. So if you're interested in that, if this is something that you want to know more about, grab a snack, coffee, whatever you like to drink, and let's hang out and chat about everything I do to really keep my skin looking the best and the most youthful that I can. All right, let's get into it. So number one, this is kind of boring, but it's true. It really, really matters. I'm not always great about working out. I'm definitely not good about drinking my water. And I was not good about getting enough sleep or taking the vitamins that I need to. So as a baseline, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't want to recommend a bunch of supplements that, I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell you the things that I have found that help me and that make me feel a bit better if you want to go check them out. I used to drink a lot of soda. I don't like water, so what I have ended up doing is I make myself iced green tea every day. And I actually really, really like it. And I put the alcohol-free new stevia drops in it for sweetener. I needed to get all of the fake sweeteners out of my life because I was drinking a lot of like Coke Zeros and things like that. And I found that they were having the same sort of effects as far as acne and just aging on my face as real sugar. Your body sometimes takes sugar alcohols and treats them the same way. They see this a lot. It still causes inflammation. It's not that great for you. And I mean, yes, in small amounts, I'm sure it's fine, but that's what I was drinking. That's all I was drinking. So I switched up all of that since I'm not a good water drinker, I went ahead and put green tea, which is good for you, in that water with the new stevia drops. And that has been a huge win for me. Now I drink probably 2 big, 4-cup tumblers of it a day. I sip it throughout the day. I still don't like drinking a lot because I just end up having to pee a lot. But I do find that not only do I like it, but it does help to really keep me hydrated in something that is healthy for me. Green tea has a lot of antioxidants in it and polyphenols, and I don't know all of the science behind it, but I do know that everybody I watch on YouTube and every time I see literature about it, green tea is good for you. So that was a good switch that I made that really helped keep me hydrated. And hydration is going to help plump up your skin. Your skin's just going to look healthier and feel healthier, and everything toxins and all the garbage that's in your system is going to have an easier time getting out of your system if you're constantly hydrating and peeing. So hydration, super important. Another boring thing, but super important, sleep. Honestly, probably a lot of the aging that I saw right at 40 was because I had a 2-year-old again, and I was exhausted. I was not getting enough sleep, and it really showed. Your body doesn't get that chance to renew itself, and that includes your skin, and it's part of taking care of yourself. If you want everything to be its healthiest, sleep is really where most things start. So I'm not going to go into, we all know that we need sleep, but I will say, if you want your skin to look good, you've got to make sleep a priority. And I know that that is difficult, but if you can find a way, it is one of the boring things that is super important to keeping a more youthful, bouncy skin, healthier skin. Now, as to supplements, I started using collagen. I use this one. I've been using it for years. I have read back and forth. I have seen other YouTubers who are really into it talk about it back and forth, doctors. There are some studies that say it absolutely works and that they can see that it ups the collagen in your skin and that the dermis gets thicker, and then you can find something else that says that it doesn't. My philosophy on it is, if it's not hurting and I like it and I can still afford it at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put that in my coffee every morning. And so I have, and I've done that for quite a while. I actually started using it not really for skin health, although it will help with that, supposedly. I had lots of aches and pains and joint issues, and basically my connective tissues were getting old and starting to get very sore and worn, and I really wanted help with that, and I do feel like it has helped some with that. Again, it's one of those things I can't completely say absolutely that works. It's measurable, but it's something that you can try and add into your diet if you are interested in it. It doesn't taste bad. It's not the cheapest in the world. I think mine's around $40 for a big tub, and that lasts me probably a month. So it's one of those things where if I were having to cut back on expenses, it might have to go. But at this point, I do want to keep it because it seems to be working out okay for me. And it may be part of the whole picture that, is part of making for healthier skin. So I do think it's something that's worth trying if you're interested. The other supplements that I do take, I take biotin gummies. Again, I don't know that there is a lot of proof that that does anything. Those are kind of expensive. I kind of go on and off those. I haven't noticed any difference in like hair or nails. I'm kind of neither here nor there on that. So if you want to try it, fine. But can I recommend it and say absolutely it's doing wonders for me? Not really. So if you were curious about that, I do take it off and on. Not so sure. I do take fish oil. I think of it as lube. It helps keep everything, like my joints, from hurting as bad. Certainly after workouts, just everything, when you've got your omegas up, which is what's in the fish oil, it just seems to sort of lube your system. And I see that in the skin as well. So it's not only healthy for you, but it also is something that I think, really is going to help your skin as well. Again, these are all things that they have studies that say yes, they have studies that say no, they have studies that say I don't know. So these are things that you can try. I do all of these things, and maybe that is part of my whole picture. The fish oil that I use, and I have my blood levels tested all the time, is actually very cheap, and my blood levels are actually a little too high. I have to kind of go off of it every once in a while. It's like, okay, you're getting too many omegas. It's a good one that is not expensive that you can definitely try, and it's healthy for you anyway. So I would definitely recommend that you try that one. Vitamin D. Vitamin D affects absolutely everything. I've always had chronically low vitamin D to the point where my hair's falling out. And so I finally found these little gels. I've been trying different ones for years. These ones work great, and my vitamin D levels are the highest they've ever been. It is one of those things that's really for overall health, but overall health is going to affect your skin as well. Okay, and calcium, magnesium, all of these things are things that as an older woman you probably should be taking anyway, because you're going to start getting deficient in them as your estrogen levels start to drop, and you start cycling a little weird, and your hormones are not humming along like they used to be. Some of them are going really high, some of them are going low, and then when you get over past menopause, some of them are gone. And that's where you need to start thinking about HRT. That also, I'm not going to get into that on this. I am doing HRT right now, but I have noticed when your estrogen levels drop, you very suddenly see a huge decrease in the collagen in your skin. And so right as women hit menopause, there's going to be a big, it's like your face just drops. A lot of people have noticed this. I have noticed this. So I am using HRT and trying to keep my estrogen levels back up to where they were. Mine are spiking and then going nothing. I'm having hot flashes at night, or then I'll have just really, really high levels that make me feel really bad. I personally am trying to level them out so that I'm not going through those wild swings, and my skin can benefit from that as well. So I'm actually using a little patch, and we're going to slowly keep upping the amount until I'm feeling comfortable. I am not there yet. I am also using progesterone at night. It helps me sleep, especially when my hormones are doing this and I'm not getting good sleep, which affects my skin. Progesterone really helps just calm you down, because that estrogen is great when it's steady and at a high level, but when it's doing this, you're not in a good place. And your bones start to weaken, you need more calcium. There's all kinds of things that your hormones are going to affect you, and that's right where I'm at and what I'm going through. And I'm doing a lot of research to find out what the best things I can do to help with that are. That's going to be happening to you more, and that's really going to show in your skin. And I see it. I definitely see it. I have observed, because I get blood tests all the time, when my estrogen levels go really, really low, I start to see sagging. I really do, because I'm on camera so much. I've taken pictures and documented everything for the last 10 years because I wanted to see what worked and what didn't work. I can watch when my blood level estrogen starts going down or doing really wild things. I'm starting to have hot flashes, things like that. I start getting some sagging. So the HRT is an important part. I am not a doctor. I can't tell you what to do, but I would say start thinking about that if you're in my age range and you're having those problems and you notice that you just have terrible sagging. That is likely a very large part of it, and it is something that if you address it, you can get some positive results. So talk to a doctor about that. I am not a doctor. Okay, so last thing that I have done that is a supplement that I can take is Accutane. Now, I don't recommend Accutane for everybody, but there's a thought, and I know a lot of dermatologists who are in my age range who are taking it, even though they don't have acne. There is a thought that if tretinoin put on your face increases collagen, if you're taking it internally, that's even stronger, and that is going to give you some anti-aging properties. I can't say for sure, but I've been both on and off Accutane in the last year, and I do think that I at least can see on me when I'm on Accutane, my skin looks younger. You have to mitigate the dryness, but I think it's basically like it's super retin-A, but you're taking it internally, and so it's having more of a systemic effect rather than just putting it on your face. And wherever you put it topically on you, it is going to increase collagen. They have tons of studies that show this. Internally, as far as supplements that I take, I have to give at least some note, some mention to the fact that the Accutane that I am taking for sebaceous hyperplasias and for cystic acne that is coming from my hormones doing this, it may indeed be giving me some anti-aging effects and, plumping my skin up and increasing my collagen amounts. That's not something that everybody can just take. If you are still at a point where you can get pregnant, I'm not. I had a hysterectomy last summer. It's an iffy and can be dangerous drug. So they make it really hard to get, and it is not something that you just sort of take, and that a dermatologist is just going to give you. You really have to have a good reason. I had other reasons, and if you have sebaceous hyperplasias, because I've been asked this, it does work great. It is the only thing that I ever tried that actually will get rid of the sebaceous hyperplasias. It's just got to turn those oil glands off. So anyway, enough about that. Most of you are not going to go on Accutane, but I did have to mention that that is in the mix and may be part of what is helping keep my skin more youthful. Okay, next let's talk about procedures and devices. So I do get Botox. I have gotten Botox since I was 31. That's when I started to see a lot of fine lines going around here. When I was younger and I was 31, I only needed to get it in my forehead probably twice a year. It lasted about 6 months. As you get older, if you continue to use it, you need it every 3 months. It's expensive. I do not recommend going to someone who is not like a dermatologist or somebody who is basically a doctor or nurses that work right under that doctor. I have like once or twice gone to sort of the little medi spas, not real happy with the results, and you're just taking more of a risk. So I don't recommend that. I can't say I have in all of these years. I mean, it's been almost 20 years that I have been using Botox regularly, which is what has kept me from getting deep set lines here, because I was getting deep set lines right here, and certainly across, because I have very, very thin skin, and I didn't wear my sunscreen, so I was starting to really show my age here, even at 31. And so the only thing that has kept that as smooth as it is today still is using Botox regularly. So you can use Botox preventatively. You can use Botox to soften lines that you already have, but if you have deep set lines, they're not going to go anywhere. They're there. You need to use lasers most likely and peels in order to get rid of those if that's what you desire to do. Long-term Botox use absolutely has made a huge difference in the quality of my skin and how many wrinkles I don't have. When I was pregnant, I had one last late pregnancy. My son was born at 38. I was off Botox that whole time when I was pregnant, and the lines came back. So when you don't have enough collagen to constantly be renewing, because you just constantly lose it as you get older, if you don't just stop the movement in that place, you will start making, static lines, and they will stay there if you don't stop the movement. So I'm not recommending that anybody needs to use Botox, but I am being very honest with what Botox does do. I have never had a bad experience with Botox in 20 years, but I go to professionals, and I don't do any sketchy sort of Botoxy things. I do find that there's certain doctors that you go to that do a better job, as far as what you want, and listen to you and give you the least amount possible and give you the best results as far as, what you do want your your face to look like. So that's sort of a little bit of a trial and error thing, but the results that you get with Botox can really be dependent on the doctor and artist who is doing it, and really somebody who really knows what they're doing can get your face to look exactly like it should. And then you don't run into any things like droopy eyelids and stuff like that. There are risks with Botox. This can happen really to anybody. It's a risk that I have taken regularly because I've never had a bad experience. I tell you what, if I do have a bad experience, that would probably change my mind a little bit though. So a lot of this is just because I've not had a bad experience. Okay, so yes, I definitely use Botox I try to use it as little as possible, but I have found that when I get movement back, since I'm 48, almost 49, I'll be 49 in a couple months, I immediately start producing wrinkles. Also, like, I get weird dents, and the movement of my face creates strange, formations on my face that now stay. So I am pretty dedicated to continuing to use Botox. I personally really like using it. So there's that. I have gotten fillers, and this is another question, over the years. I don't know that I would recommend getting fillers now that I have about 10 years worth of experience with fillers. It is hit or miss. I don't react to fillers very well. I have been to lots of different doctors. I find the highest end doctors that I possibly can find here in the Seattle area, and I have very similar results that are always bad at first. So this is where I think some people don't have as reactive a system as me, but I get lumps. I get swelling that is ridiculous, that takes prednisone to get it to settle down. Like, it's usually not good. I bruise terribly because I'm on all of the fish oils. Honestly, it has helped me overall, but the amount of money I have spent on it, the amount of kind of disfigurement and like bad results, and just, I gotta say, I think at this point I would steer clear of it or use it very, very, very judiciously. Maybe if you get somebody who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, don't go anywhere near the eyes. A little bit under the eyes if you're very hollowed out like me. A little bit on the lips if you are trying to even out your lips, because I didn't want size. I just want my lips to be even. So I've had them, I cannot tell you how many times I have gone in, gotten stuff, I swell, it's too much, I'm like, take it back out. So I've gone back and forth, because they use hyaluronidase, which just melts the filler. And the problem with that is now you end up with divots. And this actually just happened to me. I know that it's supposed to just fade away and not be in your face anymore. That is not what I have found, and I have seen a lot of plastic surgeons talk about this when they go to do a facelift. They see lots of old filler that is still in people's faces. The thing is, most of it will go away, but lumps of it won't sometimes. And so you can end up, once you go down the filler road and you have started with that, you end up with some, if I let it fade away, which is what I've done, you can end up with weird texture things left over that are not going to go away. You go and hyaluronidase this just happened to me, and now you have a big divot, see? And now you got to go get more filler, because you can't just, it's worse than it started out. The hyaluronidase can also end up taking out some of your natural, fullness in your face as well. It can also melt a little bit of that. So you don't really want that. My uber point is, I think I would say don't get started if you don't really have to. If you do want to look into it, small amounts. I will say I used to get filler up here because they said, oh, it's going to lift. I don't know how much it lifted, but I tolerated the filler up here a lot better. I didn't have any issues with it when it was set real deep up in here. My biggest issue was that sometimes they would do too much. I'm like, you got to take it back out. I look like a dude. I'm not, it's not what I was going for. I was just trying to, I had a very, very like fat baby face all the way up until I had my kids. And then as I started to age, that hollowed out, the fat was gone, and it just sort of started heading south. And so I was just trying to refill a little so I didn't look so gaunt or sick or old, when I was not that old yet. And so probably avoid it if you can. It is just, I think it's very expensive, and I think it's more trouble than it's worth. But if you want to know how I look the way I look, some of it has been filler, and there's some of it that's still in my face, even though I've tried to take it out. So it's just not worth the trouble, I don't think. Okay, Now, the only other procedures that I've had done are recently, and that has been lasers. I went off my Accutane for a little while so that I could try some lasers. I wanted to try very lightly ablative lasers, and if you don't know what that is, ablative just means it destroys a layer of the skin so that you can grow new skin, and that will stimulate collagen to grow, and that will help plump up your face. And overall, you will look more youthful, and your skin will be newer and fresher and act more youthful and will produce more collagen. I am not a huge fan because I have trouble recovering from a lot of stuff. I have a very inflammatory system, and so I swell, I get rougher, my skin reacts in sort of a negative way that I feel like I look worse and hurt more and just don't get as good of results as, was worth all of the pain and suffering. So I did a baby CO2, and I'm not going to get into all of the details. I'm probably going to do a separate video so that anybody who's interested in doing lasers can watch that full experience and see if they want to do it. And then I just did a laser peel. The laser peel was a lot easier. The CO2 was pretty painful, even though it was like, it's a baby CO2, so it was the lightest version of it. I did peel a bit with both of them, and I do feel like my skin looks better after the laser peel, but I didn't feel like my skin looked all that much better, even though we do have some pictures that show that my pore size did tighten up, and I did generally get rid of a whole bunch of sun damage using the CO2 the first time. So that worked really well. I've also used IPL and BBL to get rid of the red, like I have little, basically it's where blood leaks and you get these little spider veins. It's something that happens over time. It's genetic. It's pretty common, honestly. And so we used IPL to basically cauterize those and get those back in. It's like getting snapped with a rubber band. It kind of hurts, but it's quick and it works really well. It also is able to bring up a lot of brown spots and old age spots and all that stuff that might turn into cancer someday. So it's actually a healthy thing to do as well for renewing your skin. So that, I would say, was definitely worth it. I am still recovering from the second peel, the laser peel, and so far kind of jury's out, but that one seemed more useful to me. Now, both of these things, it's only been 3-4 months since I've done it. You really need to get a good year down the road to see new collagen production, to see if it's really worth it. But I needed to mention it because it is something that I am doing that is affecting my skin and how I look. Okay, so let's move on to the devices that I use at home. Devices. So this is another one of those very expensive categories. There's so many things out there that they try to sell to us, and I swear I have bought them all. I have tried the RF devices. Those didn't really do anything for me. I have tried the microcurrent devices, the ones that really just get your muscles to basically tense up and kind of hold your skin up a little bit for about 24 hours. It does sort of work, but it is not worth the amount of time you have to spend doing it. Plus, if you don't get enough of the gel on there, that freaking hurts. Like zapping the crap out of yourself. So there's no lasting results, and they're expensive, and as far as I can tell, they're pretty useless. So don't waste your money on those. I don't care for those. I think they're kind of stupid. I have tried microneedling at home. I've actually done in-office microneedling as well. I was really trying to break up texture back when I was doing those things. I can't say that either one did much at all. It was fine, but like, would I recommend it? No. I really didn't see any results from either full-on in-office, like 3-4 sessions of it, and, the little roller at home. It just, I don't know, it just irritates your skin as far as I can tell. So, I got better results from just using like glycolic acids at home, doing like peels. That would smooth my skin a lot more, and that's cheap. Finally, the thing that does seem to work, the Omnilux mask. So the LED masks, there's a ton of these out there. I went with Omnilux just because after watching tons and tons of videos, these are the guys who originally made the big machines that they use in office. And so I figure they know what they're doing. They've been around for a while now. They're kind of the pioneers of the at-home mask as far as I know. And I would say that after probably 6 months of use, I actually noticed that my skin seemed like the jowling that I was having and that I was trying to hide, it's still a little bit there. It's just, it's going to be there. I'm almost 50, but it really minimized it. It seems like it has plumped up my skin. I hated doing it at first, but I eventually got to a point where I actually like doing it. I look forward to doing it in the mornings. I check my mail, I'll sit on my computer and check my mail for 10 minutes, and it really it warms my skin up. It sort of plumps it up. It makes it just feel really good before I do all of my moisturizers and makeup and stuff. So I'm actually really happy with the LED masks. I do think they are doing something, and I am going to continue using those. So if you were going to spend money on any device, so far that is the one that I would recommend you try. The one thing I can say is that you need to be super patient with it, and you have to be super consistent with it. And if I were to stop using it, I would stop getting results from it. So, it's like this with all of the beauty routine things, I think. It's just one of those things where it's doing a little bit every day, and that adds up, but it takes a while to see it. But I did see it. So if you want to try one, that's the one that I have tried that I definitely would recommend. Okay, now here's all of the things that we can do at home. We're going to get into all of the products I use. And I use a lot of different ones sort of interchangeably. It depends on how dry my skin is and, where I'm at with like being on Accutane or off Accutane. I'm going to give you sort of my laundry list of things, and I have usually like a cheap version of something I use and an expensive version. What really matters more is not the particular product, it's the routine of types of products that you use both morning and night, and you do that regularly, and that will keep your skin continually renewing and looking as smooth and as young as possible. I'm going to start with the night routine. I started all of this probably about 5-6 years ago, and it was from watching Angie Hot and Flashy. She has this routine, and this is very close to what she recommends. Not everything is exactly the same, but the types of products and what they're used for and the order they're used for is very similar to what she has used, and she looks fantastic in her mid-60s. So I think that's a pretty good reason to give it a try. Okay, let's go into the nighttime routine. I pretty much always wear makeup. That means I really need to get that makeup off, and I need to get really good and clean, but I don't want to strip my skin and I don't want to irritate my skin. So my favorite thing to do is use some sort of cleansing balm. Lately, I've been using this e.l.f. one. This is just a good, solid one. I start with a full cleanse, get all the makeup off, but without overstripping and drying my skin. After that, now this is where there is a bit of a change to whether I'm on Accutane or not Accutane. So you can just go with, are you ultra dry or are you in your oily phase? So if I'm ultra dry, this is not expensive at all, and it lasts me like a year, is the CeraVe Hydrating Facial Cleanser. This is just great. It does not irritate, it's very soft, and it helps get off any of the excess oil left from the oil cleanser. It gets off anything that the first cleanse didn't get off, but it doesn't strip your skin. So I absolutely love this. Otherwise, if I am ultra oily, I will use a salicylic acid type of cleanser, just to help clear those pores. They don't clog up, and I'm not as worried about over drying because it can be just a little bit drying. So if you're more oily, I would suggest, this still will work great for you, but if you're finding that you're more congested, I would use a salicylic acid type of cleanser, and there's just a ton of them out there. I think CeraVe makes one. Right now I'm back on the Accutane, so I'm in a dry phase, so I've been using this CeraVe lately. After I've gotten everything clean, I want to put down a thin layer of some sort of peptide serum. And I'm not that picky about my peptide serums, honestly. I have some that I really like, but most peptide serums that I have found on the market are just, they're good moisturizers, but they're like a thin layer and they really sink in. So this one can really vary. I love the Dermatology Needleless Serum. This one is a classic, but it's very expensive and you have to order it from Dermatology. So this one, if you want to splurge, it will last you a long time. It's really good. I definitely recommend it, but it doesn't have to be this one. The other ones I really, really like are the timeless ones. These are more affordable and they will last a long time. We've got the coenzyme Q10 serum and the Matrixyl Synth 6 serum. Both of these are great. They honestly give me very similar results to the Dermatology. I like to use the Dermatology because it's got even more stuff in it, and so maybe it's doing more for my face. I don't know. I think these work great too, honestly. And these are more in the, 25 to 30 range, I think. So, whereas the Dermatology, that smaller bottle is like 65. So, they run a lot of sales. So, if you can take advantage of them, definitely do. As far as I can tell, I have tried most of them. They're all pretty darn good. The one thing you can run into is sometimes they will pill. Most of them don't. So next, now this totally depends on whether you are too dry and irritated, or if you feel like you need a little resurfacing. So I love a good BHA. I don't like glycolics. They hurt my skin. They sting. Glycolics, I think, are more effective, at least the papers say they are. I find them too strong for me. BHAs is like lactic acid, salicylic acid, any of those are so much easier on my skin. So something like Good Genes. This is a very expensive, very gentle, it still stings a little bit, but it's pretty gentle, really beautiful resurfacer. So I will use a serum like this, or another really gentle one that I've been getting through Ipsy. It's actually kind of expensive, but I really like it because it's very gentle. This one doesn't sting, but it does give you very smooth skin, is the Biro Celery AHA LHA Resurfacing Serum. I love this. This is a really nice gentle one. And then one that's not quite as gentle, it's very stingy, but really leaves you with smooth skin. I love the Kate Somerville Exfoliate Glow. Whenever I find this on Ipsy and it's on sale, I grab it because it is just, this really leaves you with really smooth skin the next day. So when you're feeling real textury and stuff like that, this is something I will use. And I will use those even when I'm really dry, just not if I'm really irritated. Like if my skin is super pissed, like don't do that. No, it doesn't need that. Now, if I am also like really having some acne, I absolutely love this. This is another salicylic acid type of serum, and it's got lactic acid in it and probiotic ferment. This is Bye Bye Breakout by It. This one is gentle, it doesn't sting, and I really saw a difference when I was breaking out for a while there. I really saw a difference in it clearing my skin and leaving it nice the next day without a bunch of stinging and pain and stuff like that. So I really, really like this. I have to pop in here because I was editing and I realized I forgot to mention that you need to be using some sort of tretinoin if you're not on Accutane. I forget because I'm on Accutane. So when I am not on Accutane, it is only about twice a week that I can stand it just because my skin just gets too irritated. I use tretinoin 0.05 in between my serums and my moisturizer. Now on the days, like 2 days a week, and it's evenly spaced, that I use the tretinoin for that cellular turnover, for the collagen building, and this takes a long time, but it's with regular use, it does help. You do serum, and then the tretinoin, and just moisturizer after that. Just heavily moisturize, because anything else is just going to be too much irritation. You're already getting cellular turnover with that tretinoin, so you don't need all of the lactic acids or salicylic acids or glycolics. Any of that stuff is just going to be irritating, more irritating than the tretinoin. Also, don't be surprised. One of the things that I've learned about the tretinoin, which I did regularly use and it did help, it is not the day after that you get the irritation, it's the second day. So you know that that dryness is coming, and just extra moisturize and treat your skin easy. And anytime you're going to be doing anything with your skin and you're using strong things like tretinoin, make sure that you are paying attention to what your skin is like. If it's irritated, don't just like rote do the thing. If it's irritated, just moisturize it, leave it alone, take care of it, be gentle with your skin. Otherwise, it's going to get into a cycle where you won't be able to get it to calm down, and it will be worse than before, and you'll have to take a bunch of time off of doing things that are helpful for it. So anyway, needed to pop in here because I completely forgot to add that as the step. Okay, so let's carry on back with the normal steps that I would do next after either the serums or the retin-A. Okay, at this point, I am super, super dry. So I am going to put on another layer of moisture. Now lately, because I have been worried about my estrogen being low, and there's some evidence to show, not a ton, but there's some to show that putting topical estrogen cream on your face, that this should sort of help your skin plump up and act like younger skin with more estrogen in it, because skin has estrogen receptors. I have been trying this. This is from Alloy. Now, I tried the muesli one. I do not recommend that one. It has other stuff in it that was way too drying. It smelled funny and it had a terrible texture. Like, it was awful. I used something like this years ago that I absolutely loved, but I did not need more estrogen in my life, and I felt like I was having systemic effects from it, so I stopped using it, and now they don't make it anymore. I tried to find them. Well, I did find them. I asked them if they were going to make it, and they're like, no, we're kind of done making it, which is a bummer because it's actually a local place here to Seattle. It really was one of the most beautiful face creams I have ever used, and I did see a big difference in plumping. I did absolutely see a difference in my skin when I was using it. So I just started using this one by Alloy. It has no smell. It actually has a really nice texture. I'm going to keep using this and give it a try for a while and see if I see a difference. It's kind of hard to tell because I'm using so many other things, but I really like this one by Alloy. You have to go get a membership with them and then, submit your pictures and a doctor will give it to you or not. But most people are going to be able to get this. So far, really like this. And this is where I am putting my second layer of moisture in these days. Now, if you don't want to use this and you just want to use a second layer of moisture, if you're on the dry side, when I'm not on the dry side, if I'm super oily, I'm not going to use an extra layer here. So this is for dry skin. I've been using this through Accutane and I really love it. It is the La Roche-Posay Dermalergo Night. I don't know, that is a weird name. So this tiny little bottle, really, really great. And when I don't use it and I'm super dry, I get better results with this like second layer of moisture as like a little sandwich in there. This stuff really works really, really well. So that's what I use for that. Now for my very last layer of moisture, I like to think of it as sort of like what seals everything that I just put in, seals it in so that it can work and it doesn't just end up on my pillow. And some of it's going to end up on your pillow, right? But I like to do one more layer of a little bit thicker, more occlusive kind of a moisturizer. I've been using this one forever. This is great. I love the texture of this. It is so silky and so soft and nice. It is really unusual. Not very many creams, I can't think of any that feel exactly like this. This is the Cetaphil Rich Hydrating Cream. It is particularly this one, because I have their other ones. I don't like them as much. This one is just, it's one of the best. It just does a great job of really keeping you very, very moisturized. I absolutely love this. Now, lately, just because some other influencers were talking about it, I got my hands on this new prequel one. It has urea in it. Anything with urea really helps me. It seems to like sink past that extra dry layer and really get in there. And I would say that this has been great. So I've been swapping this out and trying this one, and I love this too. This is great on your neck as well, and it comes in a huge bottle for like 22 bucks. So this is the Prequel Urea Advanced Relief 10% Urea Moisturizing Milk for face and body. I love this. So definitely if you're feeling extra dry, this is a great last moisturizer. I use this pretty much every night now, and I'm really, really happy with it. Especially, it was good after the peel. Last thing I actually forgot to mention is the Ordinary's eye serum here. This is fairly new, and you just need a tiny bit. My under eyes have been really dry since I started back on Accutane, and it seemed like nothing was getting through to it. And I have to say that after a week or two of using this eye serum, it actually managed to get through. And I feel like I stopped using it this last week because I had everything set aside for this video. And I noticed my eyes got dry again. So I gotta say, if you're looking for something for under the eyes and you're willing to be a little bit patient for like a week or so, I really noticed a big difference with this. And it's kind of expensive for The Ordinary. I think it's like 30 something dollars. And it's tiny and you're like, oh no. But I mean, literally a dot, because it's so sort of emollient, just a dot and is enough for both eyes. It spreads really, really well. Okay, so really, really like this for under the eyes. That concludes nighttime. I do this routine every single night. I know. Like, when people ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, it's a lot. It's a lot every single night. And I have tried not doing these things. You can not do these things. I don't get good results. You know, as soon as I stop doing my routine, every once in a while I've gotten sick or been tired and just didn't do it for a while, I see it on my skin. I mean, this stuff really does make a difference. There's no way I would do all of this. And I used to do none of this if it didn't work. Like, no way. I am lazy. So I can tell you, this is worth it. It does work. Okay, let's move on to morning. Okay, we are coming into the home stretch. Here's what I do every morning. Unfortunately, it is just as important as the night routine, and I can't skip it either. So I start out by just rinsing my face with warm water. I don't use a face wash. A lot of dermatologists say that this is just fine, and it has, in my experience, has always been fine. It's just a way to get all of that stuff that I put on that's left over from last night off, so I have a fresh face for new products, and to get rid of any sebum or anything else that kind of popped up in the middle of the night. I tell you what, lately I have been having such bad night sweats. It's for getting the sweat off my face too. So after I rinse my face and I pat it dry, no rough stuff, be gentle, I do my mask. And if I am super busy, I don't do it every single day. You know, I drive my kids to school in the morning, and we get up at 7, have to leave by like 7:45. So I have some time, but sometimes I sleep in. I don't do it on those days. You know, I've already done it so consistently that just keeping up with it several times a week is probably enough, but I do it as much as I possibly can because I actually like doing it now. So if I'm in a hurry, I do it for 5 minutes. If not, I do it for 10 minutes, and it's a great way to sit there and drink my coffee. Like, it's kind of hard, but try to drink my coffee through it, check my mail, and wake up a little bit. After that, then we go on to adding moisture back into my skin. So if I'm very, very, very dry, and sometimes I am, especially after peels or if I get back on Accutane and all that kind of stuff, I like to start with some sort of essence. You don't have to do this. I would only do this if you're feeling just parched. There's lots of different essences I've tried. I can't say that there's any that I've tried where I'm just like, oh, I really don't like that. The Misha Time Revolution, the first treatment essence. This is moist. This one's good. My favorite, and I'm almost out of it, I need to get more, is the Sukayaka Sahada one. This one has urea in it. This one is the most watery, and it sinks right in. It leaves absolutely no residue. It feels so good. If I had to pick one, this is still my favorite. It's excellent. It doesn't do any resurfacing or anything like that. It's just getting a really good first layer of moisture and plumping in there, and it really does make a difference. I have found that if I don't use something like this when I have sort of a dry layer of skin on there, and you know what I mean, where it's not like peeling, it's not necessarily, you can see that it's dry, but you can feel that stuff doesn't want to go past a layer of skin. It's like it's stuck on top. This will help melt whatever that is so that everything else can actually get into your skin. So if I'm feeling like I've got that weird layer of skin that I just can't get past, I will use some sort of essence. Lately I've been using this the 6 Peptide Skin Booster by CosRx. This is a really good one as well. They're all good. Honestly, you can probably just go on Amazon and pick one, read the reviews, but they're all good. They all kind of do the same thing. Some of them can be a little sticky, like this one has a slight sticky residue, and so does this one, like the lightest, but it doesn't matter because you're about to put a bunch of other stuff on top of it that just sort of like mixes in with it anyway. So, and they all do a great job of moisturizing. So really, really like doing that, but only if I'm feeling parched. Okay, so normally what I would do is just start with another peptide serum. I like to start with a copper peptide. I don't know. Again, I am not a scientist. I am going off what other influencers and dermatologists have suggested and what they're using and what they say they have studies for. The copper peptides are supposed to be a bit more like Botox, I believe, and they are supposed to be really, really effective. So I figure I do one kind of peptide at night and I try the copper peptides in the morning. There used to be some sort of thought that the copper peptides could not be used with vitamin C. The last I heard, that had kind of been debunked, and it's fine to use together, and I can say that I use them together all the time. I don't have any negative side effects. I don't think that they're canceling each other out. I can't see any difference. So it works fine for me. If you're worried about that, just use a regular peptide serum. Any peptide serum will do. Again, not super picky about the peptide serums as long as they're not sticky or they're not going to pill underneath makeup, because we're getting ready for a face of makeup. Okay, so, well, I'm getting ready for a face of makeup. So 2 of the ones that I have tried, I have another one that I already used up that was an Amazon find. It was great too. May Love Peptide Squad and the Ordinary's Copper Peptide. Multi-peptide plus copper peptides 1% serum. I think they used to have one called the Buffet, and this is their newer rev of it. And they're great. This is always the issue with Ordinary products for me. A lot of times the texture is not as cosmetically nice. They're still very, very effective, but part of where you're getting the better price from the Ordinary is you're still getting all of the effective ingredients in it, but the cosmetic feel of it is just not quite as refined as something like the May Love one is actually. I found it to be a little bit nicer, smoother, goes on a little less sticky underneath makeup. But as far as I can tell, they both work the same. After a peptide serum, I like to do a vitamin C. And one of the things that I do is sometimes I have something that I use as a combo. This has got peptides and vitamin C in it, and it's the Olay Super Serum. This is cosmetically really nice. I like using it. It seems to work just as good as all of the other things that I use. And this was recommended by actually a very good YouTuber. I forgot her name. I will put her up here. But she's like a cosmetic chemist, and so she knows her stuff, and she gave this a good try. That's why I went and tried this, and she said that this worked just as well as all of her stuff combined that she had been doing before. So this is a good option. It is expensive for Olay, but kind of all of that drugstore stuff is starting to get more expensive. I think it's in the $30 range, but it is really nice, and it's cheaper than a lot of the other more expensive serums. So if you just combine everything, you're saving money. So I do recommend this as an option, especially if you just want to get rid of a couple steps here, which I get. Vitamin C. I just keep coming back to this Goodall. Taylor Wynn, she uses this all the time, and she really recommended it. I thought it was a little sticky the very first time I used it, and so I sort of shelved it, and then I came back to it. This actually is really nice underneath makeup, and I do see sort of a plumping, brightening, smoothing, like this just really seems to make my skin look really nice. So this is not very expensive. It's on Amazon, and I really like this. I think this is really good. So if I were to say try one particular C serum, this is for morning use. This is really good. Now, there are really, really like heavy duty C serums, and if your skin can take it, the 10%, 15%, 20%, Timeless has a bunch of these. I've used them. They have that hot dog water smell. A lot of them are L-ascorbic acid. They are much more effective than something like this, which is really gentle. I can't use those. They're too irritating for my skin, and it smells like my skin smells like hot dog water. And it will continue to smell as if I have burnt a layer of my skin for the whole day. It's gross, and my skin will get really irritated. I have tried, and I cannot tolerate those. So if you are like me, these gentle ones, they're not going to do as much. It's not going to be as like, wow, okay, that's really doing stuff for you. But it allows you to use your vitamin C every day, and it doesn't ball or pill, and it goes great under makeup, and you're getting all the benefits of it. It's just you have to be more consistent and more patient with it, So it works. I really like this Ren one as well. This one is like a moisturizer and vitamin C in one, and it's also nice and gentle and really good underneath makeup. This one's more expensive, but I got it again through Ipsy at a discount, and I really, really like this one a lot. So I use that a lot when I'm like feeling extra dry and I want lots of layers of moisture. Under the eyes, I use this again, the Ordinary, just to give myself a little layer of moisture for the morning. If I'm extra dry or post laser, I will use this. This is the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast gel. This is new, their B5 gel, and this has a really great texture. It's a little bit more silicone-y. It doesn't really pill or anything like that, but it still really highly moisturizes and sort of plumps, and it just has a good texture. I love this under the eyes as another layer if I'm feeling really dry and crepey, so I will use this. Or if I have dry patches or something like that, post peel or just having issues, this is a good little layer to sort of smooth those areas out. So really, really recommend something like that. So the final layer before you do your sunscreen, because you gotta do sunscreen. I used to be so sunscreen resistant. I'm not anymore. The final layer is moisturizer. I love my moisturizers, but I'm super picky about the moisturizers I use in the morning because they have to be able to go over all those serums, not pill, actually moisturize and get into my pores, and go underneath sunscreen, and go underneath a primer that probably has silicone in it and that might want to ball and pill, and have makeup go over it and be smooth while actually moisturizing your skin. I know. So this is why I have to be picky. There's so many that do not make the cut for morning use, specifically because of all those reasons. So here's some that I found that actually work great in the mornings that I love. If you are not very dry, you're more on the oily side, and you're just looking for light moisture, I love this Peach Slices. I even use this when I am dry as like an extra layer of moisture, just because it feels really good. This is the Peach Slices Snail Rescue All-in-One Oil-Free Moisturizer. They have another one, and it's not the oil-free one, and it balls and pills so bad. It's really bad. And I don't like the ones that have the snail feel, the snail mucin feel to it. This doesn't. It's just a really nice light gel moisturizer. I really, really love this. This is really, really good. If I am pretty dry, I will use this Vanicream. This is oldie but a goodie. It's the Vanicream Daily Facial Moisturizer. This every once in a while with some things will pill a little. It's got hyaluronic acid and ceramides, and this one has no scent or anything like that. This one is really moisturizing, and it really just does a good job of making you feel like, if you're really dry, like it feels like it sinks in. And this one's not too expensive. So this is a really, really good one. And the one that I've been enjoying, actually two I've been enjoying lately with sort of normal to dry skin. This one's really expensive. Again, I got it through Ipsy, so at a discount. It's the Ren Evercalm Global Protection Day Cream. This one is really nice, and it leaves a little bit more, it's not a matte finish, but it's not shiny. So I appreciate that sometimes. And I also, this is much more affordable. This was just like a sort of impulse buy at Sephora. The new Innisfree Green Tea Seed Hyaluronic Cream. I love this. This is actually a great, just middle of the road, really nice moisturizer. It doesn't pill with anything. It gives you a decent amount of moisture, not like tons, but good. Great underneath makeup, not super smelly or nasty or anything like that. It's just solid. I've been reaching for this one a lot. So like if I had to pick my latest new favorite, it's this one. So, and it's not too expensive. So this is a really, really good one underneath makeup. And finally, probably the most important out of all of these is sunscreen. So I don't mind chemical sunscreens. I know a lot of people can't tolerate them. There are plenty of mineral sunscreens out there, but I don't prefer the white cast. As far as I know, they don't offer the full broad range of spectrum of protection, so they're not quite as effective. I prefer a good chemical sunscreen, especially underneath makeup. So the ones that I have been using lately, and this is my absolute new favorite, is this Kopari. This is the Sun Shield Soft Glow SPF 30. This is great if you have dry to normal skin. I think it'd be good on oily skin too, but it does have, it's a very thin sort of oily feel. It doesn't leave a cast. It feels very moisturizing. It leaves you with a light glow. This is beautiful underneath makeup, and it just feels so good. It feels like you're doing another layer of thin moisture on your face. This one doesn't have any drag or any, this is just beautiful. So far, this is my latest favorite of, like, this is going to be my sunscreen this summer. I have tried some other ones lately, and I liked them as well, but I don't like them as much as that one, just because of the texture. When I was super oily, I really liked the Biore UV Aqua Rich. This kind of dries down to a very matte finish. Even though it says Aqua Rich, I find that this is a little too drying when I'm dry. So, but this is really, really good. The Beauty of Joseon, this one's a little bit more like a thicker moisturizer, but it does like rub all the way in and just sort of goes away. It does leave you with a matte finish, so I haven't been reaching for it because I've been drier lately, but if you're on the oilier side, this is great. This is really, really nice. And then same situation, the Haru Haru Wonder Black Rice one. This particular one, I don't like the other version of it, but this one in the yellow bottle, the Black Rice one, this one is great kind of for all kinds of skin, and it leaves you with not a super shiny, glowy finish. It's just like another nice moisturizer. So this one's really good too. So lots of good options. I love just about any of the Korean sunscreens. Every once in a while you'll get one that smells funny or has like a bad finish on it, but in general they're all pretty good. So like, pick one. If you're comfortable using chemical sunscreens, they offer the best filters that, you know, they give you the most coverage, and they work the best underneath makeup. And I find that in order for me to be good about wearing my sunscreen, it needs to be part of my makeup routine. It has to be something I enjoy putting on my face. And that was always my issue before, is the old ones would break me out. They were white, occlusive, nasty. They smelled bad. I cannot stand the sunscreen smell. So none of those ones that I recommended, they don't have the sunscreen smell. It makes me gag. I cannot stand that smell. Which is weird. I usually like tropical scents. I hate that smell. So these all have like a light citrus scent to them that sort of goes away. I am so glad that they have come out with such better options, because that gets me to use it every day. And if you want to know what's important to anti-aging, that's probably the number one thing you can do, is wear your sunscreen. The amount of damage that we get from the sun, I mean, we're getting like microwaved daily if you're out in it. It's just, it really, it makes a huge difference. And you can see it in people who, you know, they have like a driver's side. They have photos online that you can find of somebody who their driver's side, they didn't wear sunscreen, and their driver's side, which was their job, was to drive, is like dramatically aged and like sagging versus the other side. For me, this ear is about an inch smaller than this ear. They're both kind of big, but this one right up here on the top, my driver's side ear, I ended up getting a big basal cell cancer, and we just thought it was like a little bit of scaliness for years, and that's how it got so big, is I had no idea. But they had to cut a huge, like 1 inch by 1 inch chunk out. Here's some of the awful pictures. That is from not wearing sunscreen on my ear from driving. And I don't even drive for a living, you know. It's just the sun has so much effect on your skin, and the one thing you can do that is not that expensive that you can really help with anti-aging is wear your sunscreen. I know you've heard it a million times, but it's true. Okay, so I said it was going to be long. It's long. I do a lot. It is not just one thing, but it is very, very effective for me, and that's why I keep doing it, because I'm lazy and I don't like really doing any of this stuff, but it's making me healthier. It makes my skin look younger. And even when I had young skin, I had troubled skin. I always had issues, and it makes the texture of my skin so much better than even in my 30s or 20s, especially when I had cystic acne. So these are all things that are absolutely worth it to me, both for my health and how I look, and because that affects how I feel. Okay, so I understand that that was a lot. I can say that has been, over the last 10 years, very successful for me. It has definitely worked, and I am going to keep doing it, and I hope that I keep getting results as I age. I hope that was helpful. Obviously, if you have any questions, and I'm sure you will, please leave them below. I love talking to you. I am here to help. I wanted to share these things because these are the things that I went looking for, because I was not happy with how I was aging. I was not happy with the way my skin was feeling and looking. It was just not, honestly, it wasn't healthy skin, and I wasn't very healthy. I wasn't getting enough sleep or water. I was eating and drinking things that weren't good for me. I wasn't wearing my sunscreen. I'm just like you guys. I am not a scientist. I am not a cosmetologist. I'm just a person who wants to see what works and what doesn't. And I want to feel and look my best, especially as I struggle with that as I go through menopause and I age, because a lot of times I don't feel very good. I figure at least I can try to look good, I guess. If you like this kind of content and you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, as it really helps my channel to grow, and then I can reach more people and we can have good discussions and hopefully make all of our lives a little bit better. Okay, I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for joining me.